What?
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to
the Sweating Palms Podcast.
Woo! This is the podcast. Hi, we're here. This is the podcast where we talk about why our palms are just sweating all the time, basically. We tell you stories. We tell you stories. You listen to the stories. We have names. Mine is Jenna.
Mine is Kara.
We talk about things that are embarrassing.
Like giving birth. That's not embarrassing.
That's not embarrassing, but it is a heightened experience. So we talk about all different types of heightened experiences, including birth, apparently. Sorry, listeners, if that was
traumatic. It was also traumatic for Jenna.
It was. I will never have another child.
Same.
Tried it twice, and now I'm done.
Turns out it sucks.
Turns out I had to go. The first time I wasn't so sure. Second time, certainly done.
Came back for seconds, and it was bullshit.
And it was worse than the first time. So, yeah, we'll talk about, mucus sometimes and the plugs. Sorry about it. But we also embarrassing stories, love stories, true crime stories,
and spooky stories.
Spooky stories. Do you know what month it is?
October.
It's
October.
It's October. It's still October. It's the second week in October, and we are gonna tell you some spooky stuff because 'tis the frickin' season. Yeah.
Gotta celebrate before everything just dies and it's a cold desert. Anyways, pumpkin spice, leaves, apples,
cozy
apple
sweaters,
flavored donuts, pumpkin spice flavored donuts,
other types of donuts. What? Yeah.
Yeah.
Cider?
Woo! Wearing a sweater even though it's actually still really hot outside and now I'm just sweating as sweaters do.
So hot. Oh my God. Yes. All of the fall things. I'm sure there are other fall things. Pumpkin carving, pumpkin picking, apple picking, hay rides. 2020. None of that happens.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we tried. But we're here with spooky stories, so it's good enough. Yeah. What else do we have off the top? I don't know. We're still mad at France. It's fine. Whatever.
We'll get over it eventually. But right now, our wounded hearts are bleeding.
It is still very much open, much like our last story. You guys broke our frickin' tibia, and it came right...
And our ulna.
Bursted the artery of our hearts. And now we must heal.
Someone bring me soup.
Soup? Would you like a pumpkin soup?
Oh my God, yeah. That's the only kind of soup in my opinion.
It's the only soup. Yeah, I guess we should maybe get into it a bit because I have no idea what else to say here except for thank you for being here, listeners. And I promise we will start talking about something soon once we get rid of all of our awkward and anxious energy. So we usually start by talking about things that we need to get off our chest, just a little vent sesh.
Am I first?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I came prepared today, actually.
Oh.
I've been thinking about this one for a hot minute.
Okay.
Probably like a week. Okay, so you know what I need to get off my chest?
What?
Have you ever had a word that you really didn't like?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I really fucking dislike the word behooves.
Ew.
It bothers me a lot. And I feel like I've been hearing people say it a lot as this almost kind of trying to sound smart thing.
Yes.
And I just don't like the word. I don't like it how it sounds when you say it at all. But you know what I do like is when people with an Irish accent say the word fairies.
Oh, yes. I love just like an Irish, Scottish
yeah.
accents. A lot. I can't do it. That was just me trying to emphasize.
What is that quote that's like, oh, it's from like Dumb and Dumber when he's like, I like it a lot. That's what you just did.
That's exactly what it was. That's exactly it, too. I'm like, that was not me attempting an Irish or Scottish accent. That was just me telling you how
Quoting
how much
Jim
I
Carrey.
like it a lot. Yes. Yeah. I don't like I don't even really like to say it.
The behooving.
Ew. Yeah, I don't like that. I feel like I have a word that I have a couple words I really don't like. I don't like words that can be used normally in life, but also sexually.
Yeah.
Like squirt.
Oh my God. Yeah.
It kind of just gives me like how some people don't like the word, I'm sorry, literally everyone who doesn't like this word, moist. That one doesn't bother me.
Me neither.
It doesn't bother me at all. But for some reason, the word squirt bothers me a lot.
I feel like it's kind of a shitty thing to say in the first place. Like, I feel like people really make fun of females that do that, which is fucked up because it's not like they can control it. And why are you shaming somebody for their body like that? But yeah, I also I just actually really don't like sexual innuendos. I think it's like a really bad joke. Like it's too easy, you know?
Yes. No, totally. So those kind of words just kind of, especially when they're used because I don't know, because when I hear them, I think I immediately just my mind goes straight to the gutter or something.
Oh, yeah.
I'd be working at my last job in fast food and they're like, I'd like to order a large squirt. And I'm like, ugh, gross. All right. Sure.
Bet you do.
I bet you. Yeah, you do. Gross.
Yeah.
So. No, I feel you there. Do you have a word? What is your favorite word?
Like when Irish people say fairies, that gives me the chills, and it makes my heart really happy. It's so soothing to me. What about, can you think of a word right now that you really like?
I used to always say that I really loved the word caution.
Really?
I like the way it's said, caution. Caution. I don't know what it is about it.
It's your anxiety.
I'm like, it is. It's just like... Yep. Just they're like, what do you like? I'm like, caution.
I just love safety.
Safety. No, safety doesn't do it for me, but because I feel like the way that it's said, how obviously you know how it's spelled with the shunt, the TIO.
Yeah.
But for some reason, in my mind, the way it's spelled is this really, I don't know, it's in my head when I say it, it's CAWSH.
Caution.
But it sounds so, it's like caution. Caution. And it's so soothing. It's such a soothing sound. So dumb.
It's just rocking you to sleep.
I'm like, oh. Yeah, I also like speaking of rocking, I love the word lull.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
It's a nice word. But yeah, and there's no particular reason. Definitely love a good, I like a good Scottish accent, personally.
Oh, yeah. It's that could wrap me up.
Yep.
Do you have anything to get off your chest?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I feel like I just took over your thing.
No.
I always do this.
Take it over, Jenna. Take it away.
I have a short story.
Ooh.
It's really sad.
Lay it on me.
It's really
Lay it on me.
So I was at work this week and a coworker came downstairs and she was in tears. And immediately my first response when somebody's crying, because I don't know how to handle it, is to basically smother them. And just I just want to bury their head in my chest and be like, shh, stop. It's okay. Stop. I don't know how to handle this. We're okay. I do it with my kids when they're hurt. I'm just like, come here. Like, I just
Boobies.
grab them right up next to me. And so I go and I give her like a big hug and I'm like, what's going on? Because obviously I have to do that if I'm going to smother her to death. And she's crying and she says, oh my God, there was this cat across the street. We saw out the window and it was limping and we were going to go like call the shelter and we were going to go try to get it and help it because it was hurt. And it tried to cross the street and it just got taken out.
No.
And I'm like, oh my God, like that's terrible. I'm so sorry. And she's she's just sobbing. And I would be doing the same thing because that's sad. That's really fucking sad. However, what my body does when terrible things happen is not at all what is appropriate. So, oh my God.
Uh-oh.
Okay, a story within this story. One time, me and my friend were driving when I was pregnant with my first child, 18 years old, driving down this highway. A dog comes out. She hits this tiny dog. The dog dies.
Oh my fuck.
We both are like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Freaking out. Obviously a terrible thing. I promise I'm not a psychopath. I just don't know how to handle life. So she's like, what do? I'm like, you need to stop. We need to see if it's okay or like at least get it out of the road. Maybe see if we can find who it belongs to, but it's like a country road. And then when she parks, we both look at each other and we start nervously laughing.
Yes.
We did it. It was like that. Like, ha, 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 ha. Like such an uncomfortable laugh. Like we didn't know what else to do. So here's my coworker telling me that she just watched a cat get run over. And I'm like this weird, like,
just like psychotically smiling and laughing.
Yes.
And it's like, is it when she tells you that a cat got hit by a car that you start doing it?
Like, I think so. I don't know because my coworker is watching me and I felt like I handled it really well. Okay. In the moment, I was like, handled it like a boss. Oh, and then she goes back upstairs after a while. Like, we're talking to her and we're like, we're so sorry that happened. And that's terrible. And like, you couldn't have done anything. Like, you did everything you could. Your intentions were there. And unfortunately, you saw that. And like, it was horrible. She goes upstairs and my coworker looks at me and she starts cracking up and she's like, Jenna, I thought that you were going to bust up laughing at her and I had to look away because I didn't know what to do. And I was like, oh no, it turns out I didn't handle it very well at all.
Uh-oh. Well, is this the coworker that knows you well that maybe saw through your facial expressions? Or was it just that obvious?
I think they both, work wife didn't say anything about it. It was another coworker that's in the basement. And she's like, oh my gosh.
That's
and I'm like,
amazing.
And so then I had to tell her, I'm like, no, I just don't. It's just my nerves. Like when I don't know how to respond to something or when something's so terrible. Because it was really sad.
Oh yeah, dude. No, it's so fucked up. I do that in like therapy. Like whenever it's so fucked up because whenever I like am gonna like talk about something really traumatic, I start laughing like right before I tell my therapist and I'm smiling and laughing and my therapist just gets this horrified look. And I'm like, oh God, like I know what I'm doing is so horrible right now.
But I can't handle it.
This is just like, this is how I cope. This is my reaction is just like hysterically laughing like a fucking psycho.
Mm-hmm. When I was in high school, my therapist did the same thing. She's like, she finally stopped me one day and she's like, you have a real talent.
Nice way to put it.
For being able to tell really traumatic or really, she said, I think she's used the word traumatic probably, but basically like really traumatic things and make it seem like it is not a big deal. You could almost convince somebody that it wasn't even a big deal because of how nonchalant you are about it.
Oh God, yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I surely do.
Yep. Just a little skin off the elbow. Yep. You've got like a knife sticking in your kidney.
Right, you're like, ha, and then this terrible thing happened. Isn't that funny?
It was really bad one time too, because like I just like, it was like the first time I did it and I started laughing really hard. And then I was like, I'm laughing because I'm nervous.
Yeah.
And she just was like, oh God.
What are you supposed to do though? Like, how do people deal with things? They cry? Fuck you.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, because I'm not in the mood to cry. I'm fine. But I don't know how to say this.
I can dissociate well enough.
Yeah. Yep. It's almost like it didn't even happen to me. Oh my God. Yeah. So, speaking of things that maybe it didn't happen to you, do you have a story?
Yeah, I do.
That was my attempt at a segue. Thank you.
That was better than the segue that I did last time I was here when I just said the word segue.
Oh.
Yeah, I got a story for you.
I'm excited.
Okay, so in the spirit of Halloween, I have a spooky story, I guess. I don't know. It's spooky to me.
Okay.
I got a spooky story for you.
Yeah.
I was super excited about this when I realized that I have a friend who had a very good story. And this story is about aliens.
No!
I know. I fucking hate aliens. They like really creep me out.
Yeah?
Yeah, like I just kind of remove myself from the subject of aliens because I don't fucking like it. It makes me really uncomfortable.
Huh.
It's too much for me. Too much.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I was just about to say, because now I really want to talk to you about aliens, but
Oh.
we should, someday, if you're feeling up to it, we should have a discussion about aliens, because I would love to know why you feel that way.
Yeah, I'm super down. I have a lot of thoughts about it for sure. Like, when I really like the show X-Files, obviously, it's a great fucking show.
Mm-hmm.
But I can only watch it so much because I just get so fucking creeped out.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what it bothers me a lot. And I think it comes from being a kid and watching like Discovery Channel or something, and they'd have like a special on aliens, and as like a small child, and I was so scared of everything as a little kid.
Same.
I was such a little sissy girl. And so this idea that there could be just like things that are not of our world and that look fucking creepy are running around, and that might take you from your house up into their spaceship and you're never gonna see your family again. I was like, hell no, that's horrifying.
That's funny. That's so funny to me because I don't feel that way at all about aliens. But
Really?
I am the same, where I am just I still don't watch horror movies just because I'm like, I know it stresses me out.
Yeah, yes.
It's not a good time. So I'm like, I'm not going to put myself through that it's not fun. Yeah.
This is so great. This is a mirrored, I feel like I'm just listening to myself right now because that's exactly how I feel about horror movies.
Yeah.
I can watch some of the really old, super cheesy ones.
Yeah.
If I'm like drunk and like, in the mindset to be able to handle it. Like I love the like old, really cheesy shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, I'm like, I cannot separate myself from this like gory, horrific shit that is happening, and I don't need to feel that way.
No, and and if I do, like, I like some zombie movies, but I have to watch the same zombie movies because it helps my anxiety to have that repetition. Yeah. Where I'm like, yeah, all right, I know what's happening next. I'm not getting the jump scare.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah. But so I don't watch horror movies, and I feel the way that you feel about aliens, about ghosts. Like, it kind of like stresses me out. Or like,
for sure.
Like, I don't know, certain paranormal things really, for some reason, haunted dolls really get to me. I'm like, and it's the same, like, I know a lot of people feel the same way. Haunted dolls, I'm like, fuck? No. Certain hauntings really stress me out. Aliens, I'm cool with. I'm like, you know what? Because aliens are not imminent. Like, ghosts are like, it's like, your house could be haunted already.
At any moment.
This thing could already be here. Like, you could already blah, blah, blah. If you could open up a port, like, whatever. It's all this like crazy shit that it like starts getting my mind all crazy.
Yeah.
And aliens, I'm like, okay, maybe they'll show up sometime. Maybe they're here. Maybe, like, it's not me, though. It's far enough away that I don't have to deal with it.
And that's how I like it.
Yep. So I just thought that was kind of funny. I'm like, oh, yeah, I have similar feelings, but not towards aliens. I get it, though. So this one's about aliens.
This is about aliens, and this is an account from a very good friend of mine, Bridget. And so Bridget and I have been friends since the 5th grade. She moved up here from Arkansas. Her dad was in the military. They moved around a lot. Little tidbit. Bridget and I became friends in the 5th grade because while standing in a line for PE, she shoved me and said, move. But later on, we were partnered in math class, and she let me cheat off of her math papers.
Well, all right.
Best friend since.
Shout out, Bridget.
Shout out to Bridget.
That's awesome.
Thanks for being my friend.
Right? That's somehow some of the best friendships start. It's like, I hated this chick for like a good second.
Yes.
And we became the best of friends.
Yeah. Okay, so this story takes place in the summer of 2011. Bridget was 19 years old. Bridget and her husband, Randall, were visiting Corpus Christi, Texas. They're staying on this Naval Air Force base. 'Cause like I said, Bridget, her dad is in the Air Force, and Randall was a Marine. Yeah, and they're both from military families.
Okay.
Yeah. So before I tell this story, Bridget and Randall, like I just said, Bridget's dad is from the Air Force. She's really familiar with planes. Like, she can identify different planes.
Wow.
She's super familiar with the military and its workings. And Randall, who was a Marine, is also incredibly familiar with all of those workings and, like, what our military has, like, what their capabilities are. Like, her dad is super high up in military rank. I don't fucking know anything about the military, so I can't even remember what he is, you know?
Yeah.
That's not my line of work. Hey. But they know their shit. So they're visiting Corpus Christi. They're on this Naval Air Force base. They're with some friends. They're going to camp out on this beach.
Uh-huh.
So they kind of spend the day in town drinking, just having fun, like, you know, being young people. And they come back to this beach, and she said it's like 10 o'clock at night. It's late. And there's not really, like, they're basically the only people on the beach. She said there was like a dock, and there was some people fishing on the dock. But other than that, it's just them. And, you know, they've got their tent set up. They're hanging out, having a good time. So they're partying. They're sitting like on the shoreline, just hanging out. It's late at night. They're just being kids. And then Bridget said that she just looked up and she sees this aircraft above them that was immediately, she could not identify it. She immediately was like, this is not something of our world. Like, it's just not something, like, everything about it is different.
Yeah, like, I would recognize this.
Yeah. And so first of all, the aircraft is totally silent. It's not making any kind of noise. It's shaped like a boomerang.
Oh.
And there's 3 clear panels of strobing white lights on it. Bridget's taken really aback by this immediately. Like, she's immediately just, like, really, like, shook up. Like, what the fuck is this? Like, this isn't normal. She alerts Randall and their friends to it. You know, she's like, what the fuck is this? And so Bridget, I think she had, like, a really hard time with this because Bridget is, like, she's an atheist. Like, she told me at this time she did not believe in aliens. Like, she's a scientific human being. Like, yeah, she's really, like, she's, like, studies, like, science in college. Like, yeah, like, she's very, like, everything
that is everything that we know.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
And that is what it is.
Yeah.
And there's nothing beyond this. Sure.
Yeah,
that makes sense to me.
Yeah, so she was kind of having this, like, immediate, like, panic, existential crisis upon seeing this. And so Bridget, like, alerts Randall and their friends' attention to it, and they all are really taken aback by this. Like, Randall also is like, this is not normal. Like, this is not a normal aircraft. So although Bridget and them, they're all really alerted to this, Bridget happens to notice that the people on the dock nearby don't seem to notice it at all. And she, like, that's something she remembers from this, is that she was really bewildered how the people from the dock didn't notice, because the way that she described it is that this aircraft was actually like really close to them. Like, it wasn't an aircraft like a little speck in the sky, that it was very close to them, close enough that she could identify 3 panels of flashing white lights, you know? And so the people on the dock don't seem to, I don't know, maybe they were fucking wasted, but still, like, it was weird.
Yeah. That is strange.
A couple moments later, a second aircraft flies overhead, and this one is much different.
Okay.
She said that after seeing this second aircraft, that she kind of felt like the first one was like, she described it as like, it was like a scout or a probe. Like, it was like some kind of other, it obviously had a different job than this second aircraft that passed overhead.
Okay.
And so this second one is like the size of a football field.
Oh my
God. It's also in the shape of a boomerang, and it has about 16 panels of multicolored strobing lights.
Whoa.
And they were flashing in a way that seemed like some form of communication. Like, it seemed like there was a specific pattern that was happening.
Sure, yeah.
At this point, they're all like freaking the fuck out. And so this large aircraft passes by, and then they see 6 military jets take off and pursue the aircrafts. So this is the point where Bridget and Randall can both identify that these are military aircraft. They watch them launch into the sky and start pursuing these aircraft. It's like, it's totally different. They can identify, like, these are military jets. This is a military response to what we just saw.
Yeah.
And so Bridget, like, proceeds to have a mental fucking breakdown. Like, she goes into, like, hysterics, basically, cannot, like, she's, like, just can't handle it. It was too much.
Yeah.
And so she just kind of goes back into her tent. And then Randall, with his, like, military training, is more, like, he's really, like, more curious.
Sure.
You know, that's kind of, like, how he is he's very, like, in moments of extreme, like, stress, he's, like, trained to be calm and to, like, observe and take in stimulus, you know?
Yeah.
And so he just, like, goes out and stands on the shoreline with their friend and, like, continues to discuss what it is that they're seeing. And then there's a spotlight shown on him from somewhere on the ocean.
What?
Yeah. So they are standing on the beach, spotlighted, like, bright, shining light in their face from somewhere out on the ocean, and they felt as if, like, maybe it was, like, the military, like, honing in on them, like there's civilians that have seen this, you know, kind of deal. And then the spotlight goes off. And then about 30 minutes later, it's like they can hear a boat in the jetty. Like, there's, like, a jetty.
Yeah.
And they can hear it, but they can't see it. Like, they can hear the waves, like, crashing against the boat.
Yeah.
They can see, like, the dark presence of it. Mm-hmm. They feel like they're being watched, but nothing happens. And then eventually the boat, like, goes away.
I don't like that.
Yeah. It's, like, it's so creepy. It's so creepy. And they are both just such, like, rational, cool, collected, like, people, you know?
Yeah.
And so, like, basically at this point, they don't know what the fuck to do. They don't know what they just saw. The action is kind of stopped, and they just go back to their tent and go to sleep. Like, that's, you know, because they just, like, they're like, what the fuck do we do? It's, like, late as shit at night.
Yeah, what else is there to do? What are you going to do?
Yeah, you're not going to do anything. What, you going to call the Pentagon? Like, I don't know.
Seriously.
Call your mom. I saw an alien! Mother! Help! I need an adult!
Oh my God.
Yeah. Okay. So, they're awoken in the morning to the military police.
What?
Yeah, the military police come to their tent, ask them to get out, and, like, start, like, saying that they need to vacate the beach because there's going to be adverse weather conditions, that there is a hurricane coming.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
Yes.
What?
Yeah. I'm not fucking with you. I'm not fucking with you. And
Nick's
just, like,
gonna lose his shit over this episode, by the way.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah, because he is a big old believer.
believes.
Oh, he is a big believer. Apparently, he has, like, his own research that his mom holds on to for him.
Where his mom holds on to him.
I know, he's like, I'll tell you someday. I'm like, still waiting, bro. It's been 7 years. But Nick will probably shit his pants over this. So.
Hell yeah.
That's amazing.
Right?
That's amazing.
It's amazing. It's insane. And yeah, it's like Bridget and Randall are like, they are from the military. They recognize military police. Like, this is like the most credible source I could possibly imagine. Like, they are not party animals. They're not like, you know, they are like straight fucking lace, cool as a cucumber, smart as shit people, you know? So they're woken by military police. They're told that a fucking hurricane is coming and that they need to vacate the beach. So they leave, obviously, and they go and try to check into a hotel. And while they're checking into the hotel, Bridget's kind of making conversation with the concierge and asks her, so, like, tell me about the adverse weather conditions. And, like, you know, there's, like, supposed to be a hurricane, I guess. And the concierge is just like, what? Like, the concierge was just super confused and was like, there's no hurricane. There's no adverse weather conditions. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, are you fucking with me? Kind of thing. And then, you know, that's the moment where their heart drops. And it's like, that was, like, real. That was the military police, like, kicking us out because we weren't supposed to see that shit.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Right?
What?
And yeah, and
what?
Well, and so it's like, yeah, Bridget is like in Texas at the time, and Bridget and Randall like come up for a visit like a couple months or something after this happened, and they told me about it, and it was like fucking earth shattering to me. Like, honestly, like I just like I don't really like, I don't believe in aliens. I kind of believe in aliens. Well, I believe in aliens as like a faraway, disconnected thing. And but after hearing them tell me this shit, I was just like so shook up. Like, it was horrifying. Yeah. Oh my God, it was insane.
That's so crazy. Oh my God. Well, and I don't know if you know much about this, because I like 2020 has been a blur, but apparently the government like acknowledged
alien presence.
Yeah.
In the, like, in our Earth. Yeah.
Do you know I just don't know anything about this?
What?
I heard about it. There people are like, who had aliens on their 2020 bingo? And I'm like, don't know anything about it.
Well, because it just got like slipped in there, really. Like, it was like one tiny blip amidst extreme chaos. They were like, oh, here's the perfect moment where we tell the people that aliens absolutely do exist, and, you know, it's a thing.
They're like, by the way, aliens, COVID.
Yeah. Well, and that's another thing, too, is Bridget was telling me that, like, you know, obviously she has relations in the military that are, like, very far into the military, and she, like, was saying to me that the military absolutely has, like, access to just, like, items, I guess, that are not of this world. Like, they're way beyond our technology and stuff like that. Like,
that's fucking amazing.
Yeah. And I just feel like if somebody in the military is, like, admitting that kind of information to you, like, I would believe that, because they're, like, trained to be so rational and just, like, you know. Yeah.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Well, that is quite the freaking note to end on. Awesome. Pee break. After a brief intermission, we're back. And that was a wonderful story.
Yeah, thanks so much to Bridget for letting me fucking tell her story.
That was so good. I am more freaked out about aliens than I was before.
Right? Same.
Yeah. Actually, so a brief story real quick. When I was a child, Me and my sister and my dad were sleeping on the trampoline one night.
Oh, that's cute.
It was so much fun until my dad said, we were talking about aliens. And we were like, do you believe in aliens? Or like, oh, and my sister's like, oh, maybe. And my dad's like, I believe in aliens.
And then you're scared because he's the parent.
Oh, but it gets better. He's like, yeah, do you want to know a secret?
Oh, God.
And we're like, what? What? Yeah. He's like, you can't tell anyone. You can't tell anyone. It's really important. And we're like, okay. What is it, Dad? Because now we think it's super important that we don't tell anyone. And he says, I was abducted by aliens once. He says, I was, like 7 years old or something. And I went to the bathroom, and this house that we were living in was on this like highway. And there's a window in the bathroom, and I saw this bright light, and I thought it was a headlight from like a motorcycle or something. Like, he was so detailed in this, and we're so little, and we're like, oh, and then what? And he's like, and then the next thing that I know, like, I'm with these like aliens, and
oh my God,
they fed me this this goo. It was like Jello, and it was the best tasting thing that I'd ever had. Like, he's adding in all these extra details. It was the best thing that I ever had, and it was so good, and blah. And then the next thing I know, I'm like back in my bed or back on the toilet, and it was like 3 hours later, and we were young enough. Like, me and my sister are 4 years apart also. And I was probably 7, and that's why he said 7.
Oh,
like,
I was trying to
young.
scare you. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh yeah, but remember, don't tell anyone, because they said if I ever told anyone that they would take me again." So me and my sister are scared that our dad is going to be abducted if we tell anyone. So I'm not joking you, I was 13 years old before I said anything to anyone. And I was maybe 12, 13. And I told my cousin, I was like, she was talking about aliens. And she's like, do you believe in aliens? I'm like, I don't know. Maybe. And
you're just sweating already.
This is why I have anxiety. And I'm like, you can't tell anyone if I tell you. And she's like, I won't tell anyone. I'm like, okay. And I told her the story. She's like, I won't tell anyone. And
she tells everyone.
And I was like, oh no. And I'm so scared for like a week afterward that like my dad's going to get abducted, right? Because that's what he told me was going to happen. That's like how much like I trusted my dad.
Yeah.
No, he's fine. He's still around.
He didn't get abducted.
Nope, didn't get abducted.
That
Nothing
bastard.
happened. I know. So that's my story. Maybe went on a little longer than it should have, but
Nope.
Yep. So after that, I was like, yeah, aliens. Meh.
Sure.
Yeah, whatever.
Bunch of lies.
You guys.
I can talk about aliens whenever I want. Dad. Talk about lies.
You're nothing but a phony.
Okay. Tell me a story.
You want to hear a story?
Yeah.
I
really do.
Okay, I have a pretty fucked up story, so.
Sweet. Give it to me raw.
Oh, you want it dirty? I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. Oh no.
Oh,
that was
excessive.
That was icky. Let us take a journey to Halloween.
Ooh.
Halloween of yesteryears. 10 years ago. 2010. It was 2010. Yes.
I can't do math. Don't fuck with me like that.
Yesteryear.
Yesteryear. A fortnight of years.
Fortnight. How long is a fortnight?
I think it's like, I was about to pretend like I know what a fortnight is, and I definitely fucking don't. I feel like it's like 2 weeks. It's some like weird increment of time.
That's what I thought too. I thought but I, for some reason in my mind, had it as 5 years. But I think 2 weeks is right, actually.
I'm going to look it up.
Wait.
Yeah.
We get one Google per episode.
This is it right here.
Okay, Google. How long is a fortnight?
1 fortnight is 14 days.
Oh, yep. See, that's what I was going to say first, actually. And then I was like, that's made up.
That's 2 weeks.
That's 2 weeks.
That's 2 weeks.
See, I told you I can't do math.
You're good. You're smart. You knew it. Take it. It's a victory.
Okay.
So, Halloween 2010, traveling far away to Martin, Ohio. Ohio. 16-year-old Devin Griffin returned home after singing in his Sunday morning church service. And like any 16-year-old, he went to his room and he started playing video games. About 1:30 p.m., he notices that the house is pretty quiet and he starts wondering where everyone is. So Devin goes downstairs. I'm sure I can imagine just like calling like, hey, where is everyone? Hey, you guys.
Mom.
Goes downstairs. He goes to the master bedroom and he found his mom, Susan, who's 46, in bed next to his stepfather, William E. Liskey, who goes by Bill. And Bill Liskey's 53. The maroon comforter was pulled up over their heads. So he goes and he starts talking to try to wake up his mom. She doesn't answer. And he walks around to her side of the bed and saw her foot kind of poking out from beneath the covers. He tapped on her leg and, no response still.
No. Poor baby.
Yeah. So he pulls down the covers, starts to pull the covers down from her head, and he sees the pillowcases covered in blood. Bill Liskey was shot 5 times in the head and face at a range of about 1 to 2 feet. He was lying in like a natural sleeping position and had the covers pulled up over him. Susan was kind of sprawled a little bit more awkwardly, like she maybe had been moved. She was shot 2 to 3 times again at what investigators suspected to be close range. But it was so sad because he sees the blood on the pillowcase and he thought that it was like a Halloween prank.
Oh, because it's Halloween.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
And as he slowly began to realize that it wasn't, he ran from the house and called his aunt, who then called the authorities. So they call the authorities, but there was one more victim. Upstairs, they found Derek Griffin, Devin's brother, and his room was locked. Police kicked the door in and found the young man curled up in the bed facing the wall. According to the coroner, he suffered blunt force trauma to the head and probably died within a few minutes of the first blow. By the way, so real quick before we go into this, because I am using a lot of information from an article from the Sandusky Register, and CBS News as my main sources for this. So Derek, who is Devin's brother, died from blunt force trauma to the head. Investigators found a bloody hammer in the house, which they found to be consistent with Derek's wounds. The weapon was sent to the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Identification and Investigation for forensic testing. Devin had told the family Devin had told investigators when they arrived or at some point after this had happened, that the family owned a lot of guns, many of which the authorities seized for testing. They found outside some muddy footprints along the deck near the family's pond, and they thought maybe the suspect had tossed the murder weapon into the pond. So they drain the pond. They don't find the gun. They find they have weapon sniffing dogs, which I didn't know was a thing.
They can sniff anything.
They can sniff anything. Who knew? Weapon sniffing dogs tracked the property. They didn't find anything either. There was another child. There might have been even more children and some of the other research that I saw, but I didn't go too far into it because this is a pretty in-depth story as is. But we're going to talk about one of the other children, who is William B.J. Liskey, who is Bill Liskey's 24-year-old son.
So this is like an older child.
This is an older child, yes. And this is Bill's child.
So from like a different mom.
Yes. Yeah. So Susan would be BJ's stepmother, and Devin and Derek would be Susan's children.
Okay.
So BJ was always kind of a problem child, and his father just kind of never gave up on him, even though he had very erratic, very moody, violent behavior. As early as 2002, Bill Liskey, the dad, Bill, called law enforcement because at 16 years old, BJ threatened to harm himself. Bill kicked his son out of the house after BJ attempted to attack Susan as she showered.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. He had kind of a strained relationship with Susan from the start. After his parents' divorce, BJ started skipping school, misbehaving. And when Bill and Susan got married, Susan wanted to, she wanted to set boundaries. She wanted to have some rules, and she had expectations of how these kids would act. And her stepson, BJ, resented her for that.
Yeah, he was like kind of the rule breaker and was like, "Oh, you're not my real mom. You think you're my mom?"
Yeah. And he was not having it. So a family friend of theirs, Mark Gradle, I'm going to say Gradle.
Whatever feels good.
Gradle.
Gradle.
I'm going to say Gradle. He wrote in one of the reports afterwards that Bill often called Mark to help if BJ was causing problems. So he'd, hey, come over, it's BJ, or BJ's getting goofy, or apparently one time Bill and BJ got got in a physical altercation. But Bill pretty much, that's his son. He loved him unconditionally, and he never stopped trying with him. So in 2006, he filed for guardianship over BJ, and according to court records, BJ at 18 years old was hospitalized for schizoaffective disorder, bipolar type. And I don't know who says this. Bill wanted to protect William and to get him the help that he needed. Oh, this is what the guardianship application said. So he would like to get him to like a halfway house or a group home. Like when BJ was on his medication, he seemed to do really good. And after a while, he stops taking it because he thinks it's okay. And then he starts drinking and smoking pot, which obviously, especially when you have, a mental, like a condition, is not a great thing to use other substances that alter your brain chemistry further.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like adding more salt to the wound almost. And especially, I know it's not great to if you have a really serious condition to get on and off medication, giving yourself that roller coaster, you don't need it.
It's not great. And especially if, so I don't know what schizoaffective disorder is, but I know with schizophrenia, when you are using drugs or other substances on top of having this disorder, it kind of progresses it further and puts you into
that chemical imbalance more imbalanced.
Yes, exactly. So after a while, BJ got into a halfway house. Bill would visit him often. The week before the murders, Gradle told investigators that Bill took some vacation time and went deer hunting with BJ. They went to the family's hunting cabin in Carroll County and returned home to Ottawa County less than 24 hours before the murder. Gradle also said that he had serious talks with Bill about their safety with BJ being around because some of the neighbors suspected BJ of killing and torturing pets.
Oh, that's a big red flag.
That's the deepest red flag.
The deepest blood red flag.
Blood red flag. So apparently the Gradle's dog was shot twice with a .22 caliber.
Yeah, okay. That's kind of my question so far is like, why are we teaching the person with schizoaffective disorder how to use a gun? Doesn't seem like a great idea. Oh, they're really aggressive. Anyways.
Harming animals?
Yeah.
Red flags? Have we tried getting him, I don't know, therapy before he turned 18? Because it sounds like these were present before this time.
Maybe don't take them on a big hunting trip to kill animals. I don't know.
I don't know.
I should probably shut my mouth, but that's my question so far.
No, you're fine. And I understand. And like, I know people who are schizophrenic and I know, and so I'm like, oh yeah, like they're not, but there's a difference between just being schizophrenic because you can be, but being violent and having like having violent tendencies and showing especially signs of like animal abuse, which I don't feel like like you can't just ignore that.
You shouldn't fucking ignore it.
You should not. Please, if you have psychotic little children, please just, if your kid's like, killing the family pets, seek some help and don't teach them how to use guns and don't have guns in the house for them because that's just like that seems like a recipe for disaster in my very humble opinion.
Yeah.
Yes.
Worst thing that's going to happen if you take your kid to therapy is that they don't need therapy.
Exactly. But Bill would tell Gradle that BJ wouldn't hurt us. Yeah, apparently Mark Gradle said that it was a hard conversation to have because that was Bill's only son. It was Bill's only son, and Bill would never see the bad in him, even though he had literal physical injuries from his son.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Loving to a fault.
To a fault. And I get it, because I feel like if it was my kid, like, I'm like, I only want to see the best in my children, and I don't ever want to see them as...
Yeah, well, you're like, you don't know them like I know them. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's almost
or it's not like they're always bad.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't see the moments when they're so compassionate and they see through the madness. Yeah.
Yeah. And unfortunately, this one doesn't end very well because BJ Liskey was arrested. He was actually, so going back to like when in 2002, when BJ threatened to harm himself, BJ was already on house arrest at the time. And apparently, BJ attacked the officers when they arrived, and he faced charges in juvenile court for assaulting a police officer. He also got, in 2004, 2 years later, he got into a fight with his stepmom and struck her hard in the chest. 2 months later, he was charged with felonious assault and robbery for hitting Susan with a coffee cup and stealing her car keys. So he's just a real peach. He basically, on all these juvenile charges, it seems like he like pled insanity or he just wasn't fit to stand trial. And like there was all this stuff and eventually like charges were dropped pretty much most of the time. And he had at least 3 of these encounters after he moved into the group home. And it was only after, I guess, this triple homicide that friends and family members told authorities about other violent outbursts, which obviously leads me to BJ was arrested for the murder of his father, Bill, his stepmother, Susan, and his stepbrother, Derek. And as I said, the weekend before, or the weekend of, they went on a hunting trip that weekend. Yeah. So after Bill and BJ returned from the hunting that Saturday before Halloween, they got together for a few beers with friends. Eventually, Mark Gradle told investigators that like this has been a recurring conversation that like BJ's kind of just no good. Yeah. He needs help. He's not okay. He has harmed people. He has harmed animals. We are concerned for your safety. And it's all kind of led up to this fateful day in 2010. So the day before on Saturday, they had this gathering. They had some beers. Gradle said that everyone had a good time, but they didn't see Derek, who was Susan's 23-year-old son. He was one of the victims, so BJ's stepbrother. But that wasn't unusual because him and BJ didn't get along. And it was kind of rare, too, that BJ was there because, or not that he was there, but he was staying the night that night. And that was very rare because of the past violent fights that were bound to happen with him there. But since Bill had been drinking, he didn't think it was a good idea to drive BJ back to Sandusky. So everyone headed out about midnight, and when investigators appeared to the house the next day after the cops were called, they found a bed made up in the living room, which was probably for BJ to sleep on. Apparently, Mark Gradle's wife, Michelle, told the investigators that she heard what sounded like gunshots at about 6:30 in the morning on Halloween.
Oh, shit.
And at the point, like, they were still trying to figure out what time the murders happened, but that's, sounds like that's what she was hearing. Derek Griffin last spoke to somebody at 2:02 p.m., according to the phone record. 2:02 p.m. on the day before Halloween, according to police records. So Derek could have been dead before, like, during the party.
Oh, because he wasn't at the party. That's right.
Nobody saw him. And the last time that they know that he spoke to anybody was at 2 o'clock in the afternoon the day before, according to the phone records. And, of course, they can't ask anyone else who lived at the house because they wouldn't know.
Yeah, yeah.
They wouldn't be able to say anything. I'm sorry. I'm so uncomfortable. But Devin, the 16-year-old, he spent the weekend with his dad because he's Susan's son. And came home the next day after being at church.
Oh, so that's right. Yeah. Okay. So he wasn't even in the house when it happened. He like came home.
He came
and
home.
just like went straight up to his room and started playing video games and then was like, wait, what the fuck is even going on? Like, it's silent.
Where is everybody? Yeah, there's at least 3 people in this that should be in this house, and I haven't heard anybody at 1:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Super crazy. So apparently Devin told investigators that he saw BJ when he first came home the first time that morning. So it sounds like he went home, left for church, came back, played the video games, found his family. He said, so he saw BJ when he first came home that morning, and he changed and left about 5 minutes later. BJ asked him what he was doing, which was apparently weird for BJ to do, and asked how long he was going to be gone. And Devin said that he couldn't think of anything else that was said. Devin said that BJ was acting happier.
Like he was trying to pretend that everything was okay or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look, I'm nice. I'm smiling.
Devin said that BJ's normally pretty gloomy, and so the investigators asked Devin what led them to believe that BJ was acting happier, and apparently he said he was just happier. He was just more upbeat and more talkative, and he's normally slow and darkish. Mm-hmm. So
I relate.
Yeah. That's true. So after Derek leaves the house, BJ takes off in the family's Ford F-150, and that's it. So backtracking to when the investigators were there and they drained the pond and they're looking for the murder weapon and they're looking for all this, they actually head up to the family's hunting cabinet. Yep. The hunting cabin in Carroll County. They found a uneaten Subway sandwich on the counter. They go and they check like the Subway's surveillance footage, and they see who else but BJ getting this Subway sandwich. And so they find him, I guess he was there for less than an hour when the Carroll County Sheriff's deputies came up and took him into custody. So BJ Lisk was charged in Ottawa County on counts of aggravated murder in each of the deaths for Susan, Bill, and Derek. When he went to court, he was facing the death penalty, which depended on BJ's mental state, because as we've mentioned before, that he has some mental issues, and so those could have played a part in.
Yeah, sentencing is different.
Yeah, if he were to plead insanity, because he does have a history of it.
Okay, wait. So where did they arrest him?
They arrested him at the hunting cabin.
So they find him in the hunting cabin?
They found him, yes, at the hunting
Was
cabin.
he hiding?
I guess he was. From what I read, they found the Subway sandwich. Mm-hmm. And then they got the footage from a Subway that said, yeah, the detectives obtained security video from a Subway restaurant near the camp showing BJ purchasing the sandwich.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually say, like, how he got arrested, which is strange to me. But, yeah, I guess he was found nearby. It doesn't say at all in here.
He wasn't eating his sandwich.
He wasn't eating the sandwich. He must have saw that they were coming or something. That's what I pictured in my mind as I'm reading it. That, they found this sandwich. They checked the security footage nearby it. They knew it was him. They found him very soon after, within an hour after purchasing the sandwich, and took him into custody. So BJ entered guilty pleas for the 3 counts of aggravated murder, and was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Also, 5 years ago, BJ actually took his own life behind bars at the age of 29.
Oh.
Yeah,
That's really young.
That's really young, but he also did kill his dad's stepmom and stepbrother, and traumatized his other stepbrother, and killed animals.
Yeah.
So I don't know how. I don't know.
I guess there's just all those questions about what maybe could have been different along the way. Like if his dad had been okay, here's a serious issue. Obviously my kid shouldn't be hurting animals. He needs more than a halfway house and should be in extensive psychotherapy or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
And then
it is.
That's very just unfortunate all around.
It is very unfortunate all around. Mental health is absolutely very, very important. At the same time, in my mind, my knee-jerk reaction to these things is that yeah, you murdered people in cold blood. You took your own life. Yeah, that sucks. You took 3 other people's lives and ruined countless others. Deeply affected multiple other people.
Yeah.
From this thing. The world maybe is better off from you not being here. That's just my instant reaction. But obviously, it goes deeper than that.
Yeah, because it's also the world would be a better place if, instead of just rotting in a jail cell, if he was, I don't know, if treatment of some sort could have done something for him to where, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, Yeah. You don't get to just kill people. You don't get to just fucking give your little brother PTSD that makes him not be able to cope for the rest of his life and has to grow up without parents and all these other people that were affected by those murders and the lives that were lost. But then also they're just there has to be a better fucking answer. There has to be a better fucking answer than you just being in a jail cell and killing yourself because you have issues that you can't cope with.
Absolutely.
That I just hate that that's the last stop,
Yeah. No, I definitely think that there are some things to examine there within our system. And family dynamics to help
hell yeah
people. Absolutely. So sorry to put us on end us on a bummer. Do you have something to tell me that you're grateful for?
Yeah. I do. Change of pace. Like I've said before, I'm really grateful for having a community. Specifically, though, I'm really grateful for Bridget and Randall because right now at this point in my life, they've really been like pushing me to make this like really specific life change that I'm like not gonna address on this podcast, but they've really just like been in my corner and like pushing me to do something that is like so different. And I'm super grateful for that. I so appreciate to have like two friends that are just like, what do you need? What can I do for you? Here are the resources.
Yes.
How can I help you? Like that is so fucking special and amazing. And that's like, that's what people need. That's what I need. That's super what I need is like every once in a while, I need someone to just hold my hand and walk me through some shit, you know?
Good.
And yeah, they've been doing that for me lately. And so yeah, shout out to them specifically.
Yeah. Seriously, Bridget and Randall, thanks for the amazing story. And it sounds like being just incredible friends with that. You know what? Sometimes that is exactly what you need. I'm so glad. I say this I'm just so glad. But I am so happy that you have that. I'm so happy you have such an excellent support system and that there are people to, you know, give you those resources and help you make changes to better your life and make, you know, help you find your happiness.
Yeah. What about you? Do you have something you're grateful for?
Kind of the same. Actually, the same as last week, which you weren't here for, so it's news to you. But I have, and you know, because you came in today in the midst of me just at the tail end of my panic attack I was having today.
Yeah.
And I'm just so appreciative for everybody that I have. You, Montana, like literally every person in my life, it feels like, who like makes space for me, like doesn't shame me for like I can't help it. I can't stop myself. I wish I could just be like, oh, panic attack, like, oh, just breathe, like, oh, perfect, now I'm better. Like, wonderful. Why didn't anyone tell me to calm down before? It's just really nice to not feel like I am, I don't know, like, it's really nice that people don't make me feel like I'm a burden. Because sometimes, like, people just have hard times, and I'm kind of having a hard time right now. And it feels really nice to have people who care about me. It's just really nice. So,
yeah, to just like be able to just like lay down your load and not get harsh repercussion for it, just to be accepted.
Yeah, absolutely. And just, yeah. Like, I don't need you to hear, like, and I appreciate people offering me the space to, like, tell them what's happening, or, like, giving me the freedom to not have to tell them what's happening, and just be there and be like, okay, well, then I'm going to distract you, or I'm going to, you know, or here's solutions, like you said, like, we can do a breathing exercise, and I'm like, I am so thankful for that, because I just don't feel good. I just don't feel good.
Hell yeah.
So, yeah, before I start crying, that's it. I'm just so happy for everyone. Thank you, everyone in my life. Thank you, listeners, for listening to this shit show.
We're holding on tight.
Thank you. Oh, before we go, one update. Sweating Palms podcast will be taking a break for the month of December. For everyone's well-being, we're taking December off. The holidays are crazy enough. We'll be back in January. We're going to be here. October, spooky season, it's still here. November, you're good. We're good. We'll be back in January after that, because December's for the family.
Yep.
Yeah. You like these stupid stories we're telling? Kind of cringy, kind of awkward. You like these voices? Tell us your stories. We'll tell your stories in our voices. It'll be great. Where do you do that? Email us at thesweatingpalmspod@gmail.com. One more time, sweatingpalmspod@gmail.com. You can also find us on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook at Sweating Palms Pod, or Twitter, if you feel so inclined, at sweating_palms.
Well, what about Stitcher and...
Oh.
Did anything ever happen with iHeartRadio, or are they still abandoning us?
No. I'm sorry, because last week I did give an... Shit, I didn't tell you. I told
Shout out to
listeners
iHeartRadio.
for finally getting it together.
Yeah, accepting us.
Thank
for
you.
who we are.
Yeah, they just never sent us an email, apparently. We were on there
Oh, okay.
for a minute before I got an email.
Hi.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks. So...
Oh, great.
iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify. A lot of you guys are listening on Spotify.
Hell yeah, that's what I listen on.
Me too. We're also on YouTube. It's not a video, but like you can look at our logo. And
If you donate to our Patreon, we'll make videos. Okay? We'll make videos of whatever you want. Not sexual things though, but other things.
yeah, you'll have
whatever
to find
you
my
think is funny.
OnlyFans for that.
Yeah. Just kidding.
I mean, I'm kind of kidding.
Ooh.
Sort of. I mean, if you requested it, I'd consider it.
I'll eat a lot of food and take a video of it.
Noisily
and you can pay
eat
me.
food?
Yeah. Do that
I will
thing
pay
with
you.
the corn cob where I
Yes,
just eat
just
corn cob.
shove
It's
it in
not
your
sexual.
cheek
I'm
and-
just eating corn cob really loudly.
Fascinating.
But you have to donate to our Patreon.
Yeah, you want to watch
At
us
least
eat
$1.
at least minimum one. I'd take 50 cents. I would eat corn for 50 cents.
That's about what it costs.
But you have to donate at least
At
$1.
cost, we'll eat corn. Donate to our Patreon for corn.
At patreon.com/sweatingpalmspod. Oh, fuck. I will show you a picture of my flat, wide foot.
What?
I have flat, wide. It's like a Flintstone foot.
Oh my God, this is news to me. I'll give you $1 if you show me your feet.
My feet are right here. You can look for free. I mean, I should charge you too.
Yeah, I'm not on the Patreon.
Oh, no. But yeah, you could. I mean, if you really wanted to.
I'm just like donating to our own podcast.
To see pictures of our own feet. Oh. But we will post other things. Just tell us what you want, because we don't have tiers set up yet, because we want to know what you want to see. We are people pleasers. People pleasers. And on that note, bye.
Fuck off. Just kidding, don't.
Just kidding. Bye.
Bye.